Hey guys, this is Kayla. I'm going to be talking today about the importance of making a reason template for when you're recording. You want to start with something, at least a basic idea of the type of instruments you're going to need probably during your recording. You don't want to be stopping to search for them during the time that you are with your client. So what I have done is I've just put together a quick um, basic, basic for me for the type of music that I play, depending on your genre. You can change these around to better fit what your needs are. And we're going to start over here in this master section here. And in the master section, it already comes with some things that are already um, pre-placed. The hardware interface is always going to be pre-placed. The mastering section for your um, units for your EQ mastering, for compression, maximizer, stereo imager. You can also click on the right click, excuse me, left click inside the box under the maximizer, and you can add other instruments. You can add another compressor. You can add as many compressors as you feel is necessary. You can link those compressors directly to your audio tracks or to your instrument tracks, so then they are compressed individually instead of being compressed over the overall recording. So that's one thing there that's already pre-placed. Also, that's pre-placed, but also, like I said, is interchangeable. Are your reverb, the reverb machines, the RV7000 advanced reverb, and you can add as many as you like to there. We're going to be looking at another place that's on the mix board. I'm going to show you where when you're using one and two on your mix board, you are using both of the um, reverbs from your master settings. So just to note that very quickly, that these are set up on your mix board as well as here on your rack for you to be able to get at and work with better, making your changes, clicking on the folder, bringing in the other sounds that you can, other templates that you can put into your RV7000. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. You can add, you can take away, of course. Now, when you get into Reason, I believe it's 6, they start pre-placing the echo, and they also will pre-place the DDL1 digital line delay. I myself have added a few other things. For example, I've added the CF101 chorus flanger. I use that sometimes as directly into my vocals. If I want to get other effects in my vocals, I can use that, and just to add some range as well to the overall sound of the vocals themselves. And then I've added, well, it's a new device that's actually about to be put in. I have to place it. Right now, I don't have my rack extensions connected because for this video, I didn't go through the whole process. So, but there is another template that is there. And also I have added, this is not pre-placed, the alligator gate bank. This thing is absolutely wonderful. If you are having some writer's block or some creative blocks, I usually just throw on my NNXT and just start hitting some keynotes or some synth notes, and run them through the gate, and next thing you know, I come up with some pretty interesting melodies, to even be able to just start some tracks if I get into some blockage. Both of those devices are missing, so it's okay, because in your basic device, in your basic template, you can set it up any way you want. You can add whichever dividers, whichever types of instruments, if you like. You can place instruments over here as well. It just depends on how you're going to use that instrument in your overall mix. I try to use all of the ones that are placed on this pre-placed side. I just use that for my racked effects, my studio utilities. It's more, this rack is more of a rack that I use to put basically all of the things that I want to use in my template. So let's get over to how I set up my template. So first of all, you can do it in any order that you want to. I picked this particular order just because that's how my workflow goes. I do color code all of my tracks. Generally, the blue will be backup or overdub tracks. Whether I'm working with one artist or multiple artists, I'll change the colors. But if it's just one artist, everything that artist does as a backup or a follow-up track or a layering track, I use in the blue. All lead tracks for myself, you can make whatever color you want, but all of my lead tracks I do in red. If I'm working with multiple artists that are doing different parts of a chorus per se, like in a rap song, someone's doing a different verse over different portions. So I'll change their colors accordingly as I need to. Another thing that I should point out real quick here is that I make an audio bus, and I'm going to just flip this around real quick just so you can see something. All of these 1 through 6 tracks that are right here, 1 through 6, are all linked into this one bus via a 14x2. And the reason why I do that is because it gives me a little bit more flexibility with volumes. If I want some backgrounds to be higher, if I want some backgrounds to be lower, I can do them here. If I want to add side chains, if I want to add other effects over here, I can add those effects. But mostly I just bring it in straight and raw. So then that way, whatever I need to do, I can do it in a far better mixer, which would be the SSL 9000, the SSL 9000. So yeah, that would be a better place to do any additional manipulations that I want there. So just want to show you that, yeah, having a bus really works out very well. I'll get into what a bus is and putting together one and why they're important and why they're good. Now I have another one also here, and I use this bus directly for, like I said, all of lead vocals or any additional verses that are from a lead artist. Okay, then just for myself, I set up what I call a virtual band. And for me, my virtual band consists of a piano, an electric piano, or sometimes I'll change that to an organ, a bass, a synth, and drums. So I go through which ones, and it's all 5, and I make a bus for them, and I put that bus in a 14x2 as well, because I know that I'm going to add additional instruments. I already know that. So that already tells me right there that I may need more ID8s, and if I do, I can just put in as many more that I need there. And also, if I need to add another 14x2, I can also link as many 14x2s as I need together to make more if I need. But you generally, I'm not doing orchestras and things like that. And if I do, I use another machine for that anyway. So that's my bus for my virtual band. Then over here, I called, a lot of guys know, and girls, excuse me, a lot of people know what the Kong is. So I'm not going to go into, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel for you. I'm just letting people know, because I got questions on, it really takes a long time setting up a session. What should I do? So what I did and what I'm doing is just showing you all how I combat having a long time. Now the Kong, yes, we know it's modeled after the Akai. It's modeled after all the pads. It has this, has that. We're going to get into some of these other dimensions later on in a different video. But for right now, I just want to stay on track and just talk about putting together a sessions template. So, in putting together your template, depending on what type of music that you play, what type of music you use, I've used this for dubstep. If you want to, you can sidechain every single track, every single pad. It's so many things that you can do to the Kong. It has a lot of its own separate plugs for you to be able to do that as well. So, but I have to go on a limb and just say probably 60 to 80% of the time I'm using my Kong primarily as a sampler. That's where I usually put all my cuts, and I have the Akai MPD 26, and I just translate all of the sounds to the individual pads, and I can just play it through my MPD 26. So I use it basically to put my samples on. I've used it and just had the first 4 bass, kick drum, the 5 through 8. I've used those for whatever, the next instrument, 9 through 12, 13 through 16. So you can play around with it. You can have each individual one of these as a loop as well too. I go out and DJ. I am not a DJ, but I don't turn down any jobs. If someone calls me and it involves music and I can do it. If you need a DJ, great. Doesn't matter to me. I got 4 banks that I can transfer all 16 of these pads to. I've actually used these as just 1 drops for like doing reggae, just going from one to the next song, hit it where I want for the next one. I can come back, put in some effects over here, put in some boom, 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 bam, bam. I can do all my sound effects, all right on my pad, and just run the whole thing right through my MPD 26, not even using the whole program for its intended purposes. I just use bits and pieces of it to be able to DJ and just flip the script. They see me walk in sometimes. I don't have any turntables. I don't have any CD tables. They're like, oh God, this guy's getting ready to fail big time. I bust out my Axiom 25, my laptop, 18s, my subwoofers, and we run the show. So, just depends on what the needs are, I've done weddings, I've gotten some great compliments from DJs that are at weddings, like, dude, I can't even believe you pulled this off like that. I was like, dude, you talking about I didn't pull it off. This is what I do. This is how I do it. I don't spend all that money for equipment. The equipment's already there. I just bought the equipment. I just bought the software and let it do its own thing, So there you go. And then I just run everything through Serato and Bob's your uncle. Okay, so we're getting a little long here, so I want to get to a couple other things. The Dr. Octo Rex is one of my favorite instruments. I use that for my melodies. I use that for percussions. I use that if I just want one hits. Another one that I use quite often is the reed drum here. A lot of people know the reed drum. I'm not going to go over that. It's just for template. Basically, I can set up the redrum and run just about everything else. It's a way to have your Dr. Octorex, instead of adding, say, 10 more Dr. Octorex, I just use the rest as redrum, because I can program each one of these as well too, over these banks as well too, to run individually and to pop it on different sounds as well too. So it just really expands being able to either use it as a the redrum for setting drum tracks. Most of the time I use it for sound effects and just quirky sounds within filling sounds within the track itself, instead of having to play an instrument for every single thing. That's ridiculous. They already give you all the tools, so utilize your tools and you won't have to create so much work for yourself. That's why we're going over this template. And again, yes, I make a line bus with just the 1 through 6 mixer, the micro mixer, only because the Dr. Octorex has 8 patches in each machine. So, I mean, eight different settings in each machine. So I'm not gonna try to reinvent the wheel by adding 4x2 for every one. That's ridiculous, and that's just pretentious. So I just use 5 Dr. Octorex, and I use 1 track for the redrum. All right, so last but not least, I set up a Thor and I set up an NNXT. I set those up on a line mixer as well, because I know that I'm going to add more instruments. I can definitely convert this. I can change this if I want. I mean, it's a little bit longer process, but I can drop this all the way out, put in an reroute to a 14x2, add more instruments as I need. It's not difficult. It's very, very fast. It just clicks and boom, and there it is, and you're done. If I know already that I'm going to start increasing the number of instruments that I need here for whatever type of music that I'm doing, whether it be hip hop, gospel, or EDM, I already know by the time I get to 5, if I'm going to bring in more, I need to take it off and put in a 14x2. Yes, you can bypass this directly and go directly to the main mixer. However, you're substituting the control that you built in having the template and not having that control before you get to the mixer. A lot of times people look at the mixers, and I've seen this happen in the studio and I've seen it happen in home setups, is that people use the mixer so much that they wonder why their tracks sound flat sometimes in certain places. They're not getting that punch out of the kick, or their snares aren't snapping. Well, it's because you didn't make your necessary changes that you needed before bringing it out to the mixer. The mixer that I have learned, and I've heard this echoed by professionals, is that the mixer is the last resort area. That's the area that you are going into because you are done with how you want your music to sound. Now you want to go in and use your mixer to basically fine-tune and adjust whatever additional items that you need. Be careful of over reverbing and over putting too many sound effects in your mixes before you get to your mix channels. The reason why is because your mix channels, when you press on the reverb and you're over reverbed, and you have too much reverb, there are ways to correct it. You can correct a little bit of it here. But basically, you have to go all the way back into your mix, and you have to go all the way back into your instruments, and you have to redo it all. You have to make your necessary changes, and now you have to make those changes with all this other music all around you as well too. So it's best to just do some light things. If you want to add reverb to vocals and you want to add reverb to certain instruments, do them lightly. You don't want to do them heavy, because you can make further adjustments to really give them better punch here in the main mixer. Another little tip that that's on this mixer that a lot of people overlook, and they use the faders before they allow, and this is why it's nice to have the bus. We're going to be getting into this in another video, but it's good to have the bus because you can bring up your volumes on your bus and then readjust them in your input. So then that way you assure yourself that you're not getting clipping. And then of course you have this mixer is famous for its compression and having individual gated compression. So anywhere from about 2.5 to 3 for like maybe hip hop to dance, and maybe you can get into like 4 if you're doing something more R&B-ish and you really want to get that feeling across. So you don't want to overcome. You want to really get that smoothness in the beat, and you add like 3 to 3.5 of compression over your overall mix. Come down here to the groove key and add a little swing. It really changes your R&B up a little bit. That is my template. That's how I set up my template. I'm going to be doing another video about setting up bus for your individual instruments. The importance, of course, like I said, of color coding and making sure that everything is all color coded. So then if you are on the mixer and you have to keep going back and forth to find out what's where, then you need to recheck your workflow. And then that way you can assure yourself that if you start to do one simple process all the time and stick to that process all the time, you're going to lessen your chances of making mistakes. I wanted to do this in about 15 to 20 minutes. I didn't want it to be a brief overview, but I wanted it to be brief enough where you got a better idea and understanding of how to set up a template. So again, my name is Kaila Desa. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe.